Welcome to Hope, Health, and Ha-Has, the podcast where we talk about the real stuff: health, hormones, infertility, cancer, and everything between. All with honesty, heart, and just enough humor to remind us we're human. I hope everybody had a wonderful Labor Day weekend. I sure did. I had friends that came in from out of town, and we just hit it up. We haven't seen them in years, and we just had so much fun. My voice is gone, which is well worth it. So I hope everybody had just a great time as I did. So let's just jump right into this. In episode 1, I open up about miscarriage control mode and the roller coaster of infertility. Today, I want to share a different side of healing, how the subconscious mind could keep us trapped in fear or open us up in abundance and peace. I grew up in a family that came from scarcity. My parents fled Laos during the war after losing everything. They worked incredibly hard to provide for us, but their way of living was rooted in fear. We didn't go on vacation because it cost money and we didn't have it. If school activities cost money, I didn't do them. My parents believed education was the only way out of poverty, and they pushed me very hard. If I got a B, it wasn't good enough. That pressure turned me into a perfectionist, but it also sparked something inside me. I knew the life I wanted was not the life I was living. And I truly believe my parents, why they pushed me so hard is because they don't want me to have their life. They want me to be better. Therefore, it worked because I wanted more, not just for me, but for my parents. I wanted them to have the good life they deserve after all that they have sacrificed. It turned my mind into thinking of wanting more and how do I get there. Early on, I've always had expensive tastes, and I still do. Not because I was reckless, but because I, again, wanted more in life. I wanted that financial freedom. To me, financial freedom meant not worrying about money. It meant being able to buy whatever I want, create those memories with my family, take care of them. Money to me is a tool to get me to where I want to be, which is the financial freedom and creating those memories. To me, achieving financial freedom means not limiting my beliefs. It means living in possibility, not in fear. So, when I graduated from college, I embodied that person I wanted to be before I became her. I wore Harley Davidson gear before I even owned a bike. I remember when I was in college looking through all of those motorcycles and studying them because my dad, back in Laos, rode a motorcycle and I would hear stories about it. So I've always liked motorcycles. There was a motorcycle that I was in love with that I was like, this is a bike I am going to have, which is the Nightster. When I went to bike night, I would park 2 to 1.5 block away and walk in with a Harley gear. And because I already studied all those bikes, if someone asked me or a bike, I was able to point it out, have a conversation. I knew the Sportsters, I knew the Road Kings, I knew the accessories from the foot pegs, I knew the brand, I knew the engines, the 820s, the 1200, Screaming Eagles, all of that. I walked and talked like I already had my motorcycle. I even carried a BlackBerry because I wanted to look like a professional woman. I wore Louis Vuitton, Gucci, even when my bank account was nearly empty. Because in my mind, it was already mine. In my mind, money is already coming in. That mindset carried me into real success. I earned my master's degree in engineering. I became a manager and leader. I built prime engineering solutions. I created a women's leadership program teaching women about manifesting, leadership, and self-awareness. I spoke at colleges, won contracts, and thrived. And that recognition came too. I was awarded Top Industrial Engineer of 2024 by the International Association of Top Professionals. Money flowed in. I took my parents on vacation. I paid their bills. I even took my niece on her golden birthday to New York, which was a $15,000 3-day trip. She stayed at a 5-star hotel, went and watched Wicked on Broadway, flew first class for the first time. My husband and I stayed at 5-star hotels. We would travel 4 to 5 times a year, enjoy the life that I've always dreamed of, and it became a reality. But then everything shifted after the IUI, IVF, and miscarriage. My mindset turned from flow into control, from trust into fear. And when you live in fear, your energy drops into a low vibration, and you attract more of that same energy. My business started to slow down. Money came in but flowed right out. I shut down my women's leadership program. I even canceled my trip to Nashville to accept my engineering award. I wasn't just about fertility anymore. It was my whole life. I was living in fear, and that fear was blocking abundance everywhere. And I'm sharing this is because I went from the abundance mindset to that low vibration, and it was right in my face of everything just started to go out the door. I wasn't able to retain it. I wasn't mentally there. I was living in fear. This was my rock bottom, and I had a choice. I ended up meeting a therapist. She suggested antidepressants and anxiety medication. But deep down, I knew that that wasn't the path for me. Instead, I turned to a holistic healer and made the choice to do the hard work, rewiring my subconscious mind. It took 1.5 years after our 3rd IVF transfer to really face myself, peel back the layers, work on our marriage, and address the root cause. 1.5 years. That was the pause. But it worked. I shifted back into peace. I started to see abundance again, not just in money, but in alignment, opportunities, my sense of self. I started to see everything come together. I also want to share a story of one of my clients to show how powerful this works. She first came to me through my women's leadership program. At the time, she was stuck. Same role, same company, no growth. She lacked the confidence to step into her true strengths. Together, we worked on building her confidence, speaking comfortably about her skills, and owning why she was the best in her field. She took that work to heart, left her old company, and landed a new role as a manager, something she never thought was possible. 1 year later, she reached back out to me. By then, she's already been promoted to director in less than 6 months. On the outside, when you meet her, you'll be like, wow, she is so confident, bubbly, just a sweet person. And she seems to like she had it all. She drove a Mercedes. She lived in a high-rise condo. But you would never know. Inside, she felt empty. She was comparing herself to friends, because most of them were in serious relationship, engaged, married, or already had families with kids. She was 32. She felt like her time clock was ticking. She wanted to be a mother one day, but the pressure of time weighed heavily on her. On top of that, she was struggling with the dating world. I know back in the day, in 2000s, early 2000s, the dating world then to now is so different. Just the stories she's told me, it's so crazy. Like, I don't know how I would date in this new world, but she was talking about how she struggled with those dating apps and meeting men at places. On top of that, she felt so much pressure from her friends and her group to be somewhere personally in her life. She became so desperate of just dating men and just settling for them. even though she knew it wasn't right. So I told her, that's called limiting belief. You're limiting yourself because that belief, that joy and experience had to come from someone else's perspective, someone else's expectation. So together we worked on shifting that belief, reminding her that she already had that power to create joy, freedom, and abundance on her own. She is on her own time clock. She is on her own journey. She mentioned about her eggs, that she's 32 again, and she was worried that by the time she does meet somebody and waited, that she may not be able to have kids. Because I went through IVF, IUI, and know about fertility, I suggested that she explore freezing her eggs. Because you'll be surprised how many women are doing this today. In fact, the demand for egg freezing has soared, with nearly a 40% year-over-year increase in cycles from 2022 to 2023. That is incredible. The motivation behind it is younger women often do it to focus on their career or education, while later it becomes about giving yourself time to find the right partner. It reflects the bigger trend of later parenthood and creating more flexible, empowered choices. So fast forward, she went through with it. She froze her eggs. That choice gave her something she hadn't had in years, a peace of mind. Suddenly, she's no longer felt chained to the time clock. She could focus on her career, her joy, her growth, finding the right person without the weight of panic or pressure. I cannot wait to ask her to join on this podcast, just so you guys could hear her detailed side of the story. Here's what I want you to take from both my story and hers. Awareness. Pay attention to whether you're operating from fear or from flow. Be the version of yourself you want to become before you see it. Energy. All about energy. Your vibration matters. High energy attracts opportunities, low energy blocks them. Trust me on this. I've seen it, been through it. Energy is so powerful. Subconscious work. Change happens when you address the root cause, not just the surface. Peace. True abundance isn't about money or outcomes, it's about peace. Being able to say, even if this prayer hasn't come true yet, I could still live with hope. Living in peace is the biggest wealth, just like your health. Looking back, I see how my parents gave me strength, but also fear. I inherited their survival mindset until I chose to rewrite it. And I'm so thankful for the process that I went through, for allowing me to share this with you guys. And now I help others do the same, whether it's infertility, health, or personal growth. When you shift your subconscious belief, you shift everything. Because abundance isn't just about having more, it's about living with peace, love, and trust. Thank you for joining me on episode 2 of Hope, Health, and Ha-Has. If this episode resonates, subscribe, share it with someone who needs it, and follow me on Instagram at Winny, capital AK, and my fertility foundation, Ray of Light Fertility, on Instagram. Until next time, take care of your mind, your body, and your energy. Healing is hard, but it doesn't have to be humorless.